Gonna start the morning stream. Take a look at some things that are most likely gonna move today. Some pre-market movers. So looking at ES, we do have a little bit of a pullback happening. No real momentum overnight. It tried to find a little bit of a bounce. Let me see if I can pull it up here. He tried to bounce a little bit around like 3,500. That easily got sold off. And then you had a little bounce coming in yet again on 3,500. So you're kind of putting in a little bit of a bulldog where you have that double bottom popping up and maybe pull back, break higher. So until it gets above, I'd say like 35.15, 35.20, you're probably not going to see any clear momentum. So I would definitely keep an eye on kind of that upper range, the upper back of the bulldog. You kind of have two backs here. It's almost like a camel. So you do have a little bit of resistance around that 35.20 area. Once we start to climb above that, that should be where you start to find that momentum. But until that happens, I would be bearish here. If you do lose this low around that point of origin doji, you don't really have any clear supports being put in here. This is a big kind of an inefficiency. If I do pull this up on a volume profile, you can see that. Pretty big inefficiency there. You have a gap, you have a little bit of support kind of around that 34.67, another gap, and then another support kind of around that 34.29. So that's kind of what you're looking for if you do fall downward. You could see a gap fill. This would be a volume gap, not a price gap. Down to around 34.68, 34.70. So that would be kind of like the lower target. We can go ahead and mark that out. It's basically right around the point of origin right there. Go ahead and delete that. So looking at the Ichimoku on the futures, I told you guys that the Ichimoku did a very good job of kind of reading the futures trend. I also talked about this in Discord when I gave you guys my price targets. ES was in a very, very strong uptrend. You can see the Ichimoku was pretty much full bull all the way up. I told you guys to wait for the 50-minute to flip bearish, and then you would be watching the 1 hour cloud as support. And look at what happened on the 1 hour cloud. You had a perfect bounce off the low of the cloud there. You kind of rode the top of the cloud, pulled back, tested the bottom, and now we kind of are getting that bearish flip on the cloud. You're nearly 100% bearish. You have the bearish setup on the Tenkan and Kaijin line. You are kind of stuck between both of them. Once this falls below that level, that also lines up perfectly with the cloud. So getting below that 3,500 range is pretty bearish. So watch ES below 3,500. I'm going to put an alert on this just to remind myself that ES below this level is pretty bearish. And for you guys that don't know, ES is SPY. So if this starts to fall, SPY is going to start to fall. So let's get rid of these. Let's make this cleaner here. Let's just grab that 1 hour high. And that should be good. All right, moving on to Nasdaq. What's going on, Nelson? Nasdaq, basically the same story, very strong uptrend. Now you're shifting into a distribution, kind of have a clear range. You could either take this level, make that a deviation, or you could take this level and then grab that low. Either one works. I'm going to take the first level. Typically what I do. So we have the first high, first low, and then we have a little bit of a deviation right here. That acts as a deviation. And then we have a couple of little wick deviations down here. You can see this one right here. No real value found below that range. Same thing with that right there. Not even really worth drawing that. And then another one here. So you can see this range is being respected. You have a lot of sell pressure towards the highs. You can see the wicks, sell-offs. And then you have a lot of buy pressure towards the lows. So watch this range here. This distribution is being respected. So once this low or the high is taken, the tech industry, the Qs, should start to fly, okay? So we're going to set some alerts on this. We're going to grab an alert down here below the range low, and then set an alert here on the range high. Keep an eye on that. Same thing with the 1 hour cloud. You do have a little bit of support coming in. Well, I should say a lot of support coming in with the 1 hour cloud. If you do get below this, probably around 11,950, you should go a lot lower. Same thing here. A lot of inefficiency here. No real support to target. If you do zoom in, could look at the visible range. See, there's no real value here. You have a little bit of value around that 1200 mark. A little bit of value around that 11.7. Kind of in between that, no value. Okay? So if you do start to fall downward, you could find support around that little pullback right there, or around the point of origin somewhere around here. And we'll go ahead and grab these levels. Let's go down to a 15-minute actually. Yep, very clear point of origin. You can see that point of origin doji right there. And then we also have this point of origin right there. All right, so that's what we're watching here for Nasdaq, which is the tech industry. Let's go ahead and move on and look at a few of the stocks that I'm watching today. A few of the stocks I'm watching are AMD as one of the clear winners here. You're holding a lot of support on AMD, slowly climbing. I think it really wants to fill the gap. So still watching for some momentum in the AMD moving into 87. Clear support would be around the 85 range. Hey, Kif, what's going on, man? Nelson said we can expect fake breakdown because that range is a super fake breakup with some bars. Yeah, so you're talking about the deviation. So I think you're referring to it having a deviation on the downside, which is not always the case. You don't have to have a deviation on both sides. But I do get what you're saying, yeah. So you could watch for the value to be gained. Once the value is gained, then you would take the trade. But obviously, if you try to take the trade immediately, it's at 3 little wicks. So you got to be careful. All right, moving on. Next one I'm watching would be Nvidia. You do have a nice trend holding on Nvidia. If I take off the extended hours here, why does it keep messing up my trend line? I don't know why it keeps doing that. Keeps doing that. Excuse me. But Nvidia is still holding this uptrend. You're kind of putting in a distribution here, a little short-term distribution. If it starts to break above 474, I'm going to set an alert on this. This could be a pretty good breakout. I'd probably be watching around 600 as your breakout target. If you want to be a little lighter on the target, could go around like 585, 588, somewhere around that wick sniper high. But your overall target would be around 600. I think that would be a good place to look at Nvidia. Walmart hit our target, so I told you guys that Walmart looked really bullish. Been talking about Walmart for the past couple weeks. You had this very bullish accumulation breakout. We took this trade on Walmart. I took about 80% profit on the pink line. My max profit was 100% because I was selling premium. So this breakout wouldn't have really mattered for me. We could have held it for 100%, but not really worth it. But yeah, so targets being hit on Walmart. So no trade on Walmart until you find value above the target or you pull back to support. Neo, I've been telling you guys, so is Johnny, so is basically everybody in Discord that trades Neo. We've been telling you guys to watch Neo. And I kept telling you guys that Neo could pump to $25 pretty quickly once we broke out of this range. And finally, we got that pump that we were looking for. Their price target got raised by JP Morgan. Not to 25, not to 30, but to $40. JP Morgan raised their target to $40. So that is a 60% upside, or like an 80% upside. So it's pretty damn big. 25 is my local target. So I'm going to keep an eye on this into 25. I'm holding some November contracts, so I have some long-term exposure to these. And yeah, this should be a very, very green morning. Neo is by far my biggest position right now, so looking pretty good, man. Looking pretty good. All right, moving on to Microsoft. We have no real trades on Microsoft right now. Your trade was way back here when I told you guys to watch that range high. If you guys watch the summary of markets, I've been talking about Microsoft basically every single day. You had that break of the range high pumping into that price target. Your price target would be around 226, 227, and you're still holding until that target's hit. You could have taken a little bit of profit on this initial breakout, but your overall trade is still in play. Looking at Apple, I told you guys that Apple sells off during its conferences. Look at what it did. It sold off during the conference. Big surprise. Same thing with Apple. No real trade here. You're either holding the breakout trade or you're waiting for a support test. If you're holding the breakout trade, your next target's 127. 131 would be the breakout target. Gap fill there. Support on Apple would be around 113. Moving on to Facebook, same thing. You're still holding the breakout trade from the bottom. If you guys watch summary markets, listen to my callouts in Discord. Very clean trade. Pretty much an inverse head and shoulders. Next target on this would be 282. And then you have 290 as your upper target. Support around 270. Netflix, starting to move a little bit in pre-market. You are up pretty big. Let's see if I can pull that up here. You're about to hit that target. I told you guys the target on Netflix was 565. You're opening at 564 so far. So target is pretty much going to be hit as soon as the market opens. So if you guys are following my Netflix play, you're looking really good. Keep an eye on that. 565 clear target. If you break above that, it could see a very strong break into 600. So keep an eye on that. Daily support would be around 552. 4-hour support would be around 537. I know I'm kind of going a little fast here, guys, but we don't have much time, so I'm trying to speed run through these. Amazon looking pretty good. If you guys followed my play on Amazon, I told you guys above 32.50, it was very bullish. Look at that close above 32.50 on Friday, broke out, hit our target. So right now we have no trade on Amazon. Amazon hitting our target, consolidating, so there's no trade. You either look for the value to be found above the target or you look for a pullback to support. Support would not be found until the gap fill is tested, which would be around 328, 3284. And then your upper target for a breakout would be 3530, 3600. All right, moving on to Tesla. I told you guys no trade on Tesla until it finds value above 450. Look at the pre-market. You are getting a price target upgrade. You're almost at 450 already. So if this starts to find value above 450, if the markets are climbing, this can go higher. So watch Tesla. Tesla upper target would be around 475. You break above that, all-time high 500 easy. All right, guys, that is the morning watch list. Let's take a look at some things on the scanners. Got a couple of things moving. SNY getting a lot of block trades. Let's see. Not a lot of big names on the breakout scanner. We had Netflix show up a little earlier. Yeah, here's Netflix right here. Pre-market high. Netflix starting to move. Let me take a look at some of these other ones. Looks like TIF, Tiffany, is getting a big breakout in the morning. Netflix pre-market high again. Yeah, so Netflix, big watch. Neo just got a high day. So Neo and Netflix moving pre-market. US oil also moving. You guys trade oil. Looking at the call scanner that we closed yesterday. Apple 2.7 million, Disney 244,000, Workhorse 228, Citigroup 192, Verizon 163, FireEye 69, CLDR 45. So these are some big tickers to watch for this week. They're getting a lot of calls. So if you guys like following the big money, that is the tickers you would be watching. If you're looking at the put to call ratio, the best one is FireEye. There's almost no puts coming in on FireEye, but you do have a lot of calls coming in. Same thing with CLDR, almost no puts coming in there. Verizon, basically the same thing. All these other ones, you are getting a lot of puts as well. You guys have any tickers you want me to take a look at? How's Apple doing pre-market? Not doing much. Netflix still running pre-market. Not a lot of pre-market movers here, just the ones that got news. Peloton, let me take a look at Peloton. Tesla, we already called out, man. You might have came late. I'll go over it again in here in a second. I call out Tesla every day. No, Black, I was talking to somebody else. Peloton I can look at. We didn't look at Peloton. We looked at Tesla already. Peloton extremely bullish, but I don't trade charts like this. It's not a part of my system right now. I don't take these like extended momentum plays. But for Peloton, I've been calling this out in Discord. If it breaks above this 13150, this little fake out level that it's testing, these are your targets around 137, 139. So far, we are gaining above that. You do have a little bit of a range happening on the pre-market. If you break that pre-market high around 132.66, you should start to run. Hey, Emiliano, I'll take a look at Intel. I'll take a look at Tesla, FUV. Take a look at Tesla. So Tesla's a very easy chart for me. I see the resistance at 450, and then I see a clear breakout. So as long as you start to gain above 450, I think it should pick up steam. 475, easy target. 500, kind of your farther away target. FUV, pretty clear distribution on this. You're kind of like sitting right on the middle of the range, so there's really no trade here. You would have either bought the low right here, which would have given you a very, very good trade. You could have sold the high there, and now you're kind of just holding your buy side. So if you entered here, you would be entering late, because your entry should have been here. You could have made that trade based on the high here and the low here, putting in a distribution, retest, retest, and then now we're still playing out that lower level. So either until this hits the low here or it hits the high, there's no real trade. Which is a pretty big range. You're going from $5 to $8, so pretty massive range here. You could scalp this in between, but that's your overall setup. The 1 hour looks like you are coming into some support, kind of based on this trend line here. If you are looking for a short-term trade, if it does pull back to this trend line, you could find some support off of that. Intel, let's take a look. Intel still slowly climbing. Not looking too bad. I think you're up pre-market as well. Let's see. Yeah, it's up a little bit pre-market. Clear target on Intel would be 55, 55.79, and then we have that gap fill around $60. I have the 55s for January, so those are paying very nicely. Yeah, I've got a couple targets I'm looking at. Man, my neck is killing me this morning. I got a couple targets on Neo that I'm looking at. But 25 is pretty much my main one. I think I've been sleeping wrong the past few days. My neck is just killing me. What time is it? We got about 8 minutes until the open. So if you guys want me to take a look at anything, this is time for your final request. And then we're going to get started. If you guys are coming in for the first time here, what we do here is we host a morning stream at 9 o'clock to 9:30. And then from 9:30 to close, we are live trading in our Discord. And then 3 p.m. Eastern, we start another stream for the end of the day. So I cover the start of the day and the end of the day. And then in between, we are live trading in Discord. So if you guys are new to my content, just hit that subscribe button. If you're on Twitch, or sorry, if you're on YouTube, hit that follow button if you're on Twitch. I do stream 5 days a week, 2 times a day. If you guys are new to trading, you want to learn a bunch of stuff, take a look at my YouTube. I've got hundreds of hours of streams. I've got a how to trade playlist with a bunch of different techniques that I use, going over technical analysis, trading strategies, that sort of thing. There's also a free trading course on the website at oasistrading.io. You can check that out. Docu, I can take a look at Docu. Couple of old drawings I got for Docu here. Docu doesn't look too bad. You're testing a very flat cloud here. It's actually running pre-market. Look at the pre-market move. Yeah, so pre-market's on fire. Docu is a pretty clear trade. Well, it was. Now it's kind of, you're just holding a trade. You kind of had that resistance being broken out of, consolidated above the resistance, and then now we're breaking out. Clear target on Docu would be that pivot, 248, and then a gap fill. I've been trading for almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. We just, well, I shouldn't say almost, because we just hit 9 years. I just hit 9 years in September. So next September will be my big 10-year anniversary. SQ and ILMNL, that is a ticker there. Square looks pretty good. So Square looks a lot like Neo, puts in a distribution breaks. So as long as you hold above like 191, you should go higher. 195 would be a pretty easy target. 193 would be like that quick day trade. But yeah, 195 would probably be an easy target to go for. A little bit of loss in momentum here, so you got to be careful. Could consolidate into the trend line as well. ILMNL. What is this? Oh, sorry. ILMN. I'm reading that wrong. So the day looks really good. You broke above this pivot. Now you're holding the pivot. So when we see trades like this, these trades are very simple. If you hold above the pivot, it's going to be bullish. And you should continue higher. You break below that pivot, then it's going to go lower. So that is like the line in the sand. If you take a trade here, your stop loss would just be below the pivot, and you would just let it run. It is a late entry though. I don't typically take entries like this. But your clear targets would be these gap targets. 355 and then 400. But yeah, as long as it holds above these pivots, you've got 2 daily pivots here. It should be okay. Forgot about my coffee. Any final requests? We've got 2 minutes until we call it a stream. And then I'll see you guys in Discord. Hopefully for another great day. We're going to be pretty damn green ourselves on Neo. We'll see how our traders are doing. Take a look at some heat maps while we're waiting. Very bullish heat map on Microsoft. Starting to shift green here on Neo. Intel's really bullish. Nearly full green on Apple. Facebook has a really nice pennant here. Look at the 15-minute pennant on Facebook. Netflix holding this pivot as support, breaking out pre-market, looks really good. Yeah, look at how green it is on the heat map. You can see that red to green shift. Very obvious. Very bullish on Netflix. Amazon, basically the same thing, 50-minute distribution, very bullish. Look at Tesla 50-minute, very clear ascending triangle. If you look at the line chart. But alright guys, it is 9:29. I'm going to call it a stream on that. Appreciate you guys being here for the morning stream. If you guys like the content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And I will be back 3 p.m. Eastern for you guys that are not in the Discord. If you guys are in the Discord, I'll see you guys in the Discord. You guys have a good trading day today. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys in a little bit. Peace.